Hi, everybody. Thank you, Sam, for introduction. It's very nice to be back in Prague. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to my talk, and I'm very excited to speak today about interoperability challenges when building interchain applications. Let me see if the clicker works. Yes, awesome, thank you. At first, I would like to start my talk about the interoperability introduction. So what's interoperability? I think I would like to start my talk with a great, sort of like a paraphrasing quote from one of the speakers yesterday who mentioned that the interoperability is what keeps blockchain successful from the philosophical perspective by connecting communities together. And that's how we make essentially blockchain successful, because like having like different layer 1 or layer 2 or a different kind of blockchains is great, but they won't be successful unless they will be interoperable. And this ties also to like a user experience issues that we have in the world of blockchains and interoperability. But what's essentially interoperability? It's like the way how blockchains talk together. It is also the data exchange between blockchains, and blockchains do talk together, and they talk together via the transactions where they are using arbitrary messaging or arbitrary data, and that's how they essentially transfer the data between each other. They're using like a bridges and atomic swaps and also sidechains and Oracle networks to talk together. So interoperability challenges, this is like sort of like a micro of my talk. So what are the interoperability challenges? We have a lot of interoperability challenges when it comes to building in blockchains. One of like the core or like the main thing or the main interoperability challenge that we are facing is building multi-chain application, which is not super straightforward yet. Although we at Hyperlane and like many other like our competitors are trying to pioneer the visions and the missions of building multi-chain applications, so it's like more easy and more straightforward. Mainly as developers are used to synchronous programming, which means, that like the messages, the transactions, or like the messagings will always pass through whenever we are building in the single chain applications. But when we are building multi-chain applications, there is a huge chance that the transaction will either fail or won't compete itself. And I'm gonna share like a huge alpha here, which actually maybe even my boss don't want you guys to know about. But I just need to make my talk more funky. But no, the thing that we have in the world of interoperability and in the world of like multi-chain applications is that even if the message leaves the origin chain or like the chain A or like call it whatever, there is like never a guarantee that we will arrive to the chain B. And that's like a very big issue that we have in the world of multi-chain applications. But there are like many ways how we are trying to tackle this problem, but that's like pretty much like if there is like one takeaway which you guys should take from my talk is pretty much that in the world of like multi-chain applications, there is like never really a guarantee of the application of the messages being delivered between the chains itself. At Hyperlane, I mean, I don't want to like sound very like shilly, but at Hyperlane, we are trying to, or we are like pioneering the visions of the permissionless interoperability and modular security. What are those permissionless interoperability? We are building our message transfer and our like essentially product in a way that anyone can deploy Hyperlane to any chain they want. And also we are building them like this all with the visions and missions of the modular security, where we have a bunch of like modules which you can choose from based on the needs of your applications. And like based on the transfer that you need and want. And Hyperlane is essentially trying to like be sort of like a connecting highway between like different, we call it like internally, we call it like islands. It's like, you know, different L1s and L2s are sort of like islands that need to like communicate together, which is like essentially the interoperability, because like one of the biggest issues that we have or we used to have in the blockchain ecosystem is that, like, you know, there are so many cool chains and there were so many like different like layer ones. And when developer is trying to build their application, they like do not know like which chain to choose from, or like, you know, they build like application on, let's say, like Solana chain, and then there is like a lot of like onboarding issues which we are facing, whether it's like Ethereum or like any other chain. And it's like the second you have a user on one chain, then you want to have them like simplify the process of like get them use your application on like different chain. And one of the ways how we are solving this issue is at Hyperlane, which is like a part of or like completing the modular stack, which I'm not really going into the weeds of that. But like the problem that permissionless interoperability is solving is pretty much like using the way how we are solving this problem is using the messaging interface and the security module. Yeah, so the messaging interface, we also have like the three things. There are only two. Yeah, so those are the main things that like all the ways how we are solving it at Hyperlane. So we have the messaging interface and we have like a different security modules which you can plug into the messaging transfer, and that's how you enable safe transfer between the chains itself. I'm gonna skip these three. Also, at Hyperlane, we are currently supporting 9 EVM chains. We are working with a bunch of different chains, such as like we are working with like Celestia, Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, Eclipse as well, Solana, and soon we will be live on Cosmos as well. Those are just like illustration on the picture as well, but quickly, these are the things that I already mentioned. I'm just going to quickly touch base like how Hyperlane works and how the transfer works. It's not a huge deal. It's just like from chain A to chain B, we are using this mailbox infrastructure, which means that the messages or like the arbitrary data from chain A to chain B goes through this mailbox system, which depends on like which then goes through like a relayer and then goes through the Interchain security module, and the Interchain security module is the one that enables the messages being delivered to the chain B. So essentially, you have it's like a lock-in bridge, essentially, or like lock-in bridge. You lock your tokens on chain A, and then they get minted like 101 on the chain B, and that's pretty much like how Hyperlane works. And then we also like our main thing is the relayer as service, or like we are trying to make that as our business model. Yeah, that's pretty much like how Hyperlane works. So the message leaves the chain A, like the mailbox infrastructure, and then it goes through a relayer to chain B. We also have a different security module, which currently we have the economic, optimistic, and multi-sig. The multi-sig is the one which is being used the most for the message transfers, which you can also build your own if you want. And the way how we are enabling the security of the token transfers is mainly through we are using a dedicated validator set to enable that the even if you are using Hyperlane for a DEX or a different when you need the security to be more higher, then you want the transfer to be much more secure. So we are using a dedicated validator set to enable that you don't have much of a funds on one chain, which comes back to a lot of hacks that where a lot of funds were trained in the bridges. But we are trying to solve this issue with dedicated validator set. I'm not going to touch about this, but yeah, we are trying to complete the modular stack. We are also working a lot with Celestia, as you guys notice on my slides a lot, where you can also build, using the Celestia, you can build your own role kit, and then using Hyperlane, you can connect your role kit with any of the chains that we are supporting right now, but we are adding more, support of more chains to the future, and also anybody can take Hyperlane contracts and plug them to any chains pretty much. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from my side. I know that my talk is super short, but I hope that you guys enjoy it. If you want more information from me, there is my Telegram, and I'm very happy to talk to you guys after I got off the stage. And also check out our documentation where you can find much more about Hyperlane. Also, you can find our Explorer. We built our own Explorer, which I know there is a huge, there are so many new Explorer coming up, but we have our own where you can find and debug the messages. We also added a support that anybody can add their own custom chain to the Explorer itself. Our developers are very active on our Discord, and make sure to follow Hyperlane for more information and for more updates, as we are partnering with a bunch of different chains, and we are doing a lot of fun collaborations, and that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions? Yay.
Questions? Should I ask her about her opinion about the fourth dimension? Questions? Yeah, I would say thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Anett, thank you once more. Thank you, Anett.
Thank you.